Hello everybody, Michael here for Tactica Imperialis with the fourth part of Warhammer Fantasy Battles Tactics. Continuing my look at the laws of magic, I'm going to do the Law of Light today. The Law of Light is also known as White Wizardry, Soul Keeping and Guardian Magic. The Law of Light can broadly be described as protective magic, granting defensive bonuses to your troops. It also contains a few exorcism spells that can banish undead and demonic creatures. So, as it says here, it's very much designed to keep your troops alive. It can also go after units with undead and demon, mainly because of its lore attributes. Light magic excels at the scouring and destruction of supernatural creatures. Foul creatures from the realm of chaos and the unquiet dead can all be banished back to whence they came by its blinding beams. I am quoting this directly. If a spell from the Law of Light inflicts a number of hits on an enemy unit, it will cause an extra d6, e.g. 2d6 will become 3d6, if the target is undead or a demon. This is actually quite exclusive. This will only work on Demons of Chaos, Vampire Counts, and Tomb Kings, pretty much. There may be the odd unit in other books, but these are the main three books it's targeted against. And they're obviously the best people to bring this law against. However, the defensive spells in it are pretty useful as well. I'm not a big fan of the Law of Light. I'm an elf player, and at least two of these spells are based around initiative and speed. I already have that in bucket loads. I'm initiative 5, movement 5. So I don't see as much use in this as perhaps an Empire player would. So if I go a bit negative on some of the initiative spells, that's purely because I've never had much experience of them. My apologies for that. I'll try and keep it unbiased. The signature spell is Shem's Burning Gaze. This is a really easy cast. It's 5+ to cast. Incredibly easy to get off. It's magic missile, 24-inch range, d6, strength 4, flaming hits. So that's pretty straightforward. It's just basically casting Fireball, I believe. Yeah, it is basically casting Fireball. That's all Shem's Burning Gaze is. However, its boosted version is nothing like Fireball. The wizard can choose to extend the range to 48 and increase the strength from 4 to 6. So it'll still cause d6, but it's strength 6. If you do so, the casting value is now 15+. So the boosted version, whilst being a lot longer range and a lot more powerful, I mean, instead of being -1 to armor, it's now -3 to armor. Yeah, it's a lot of risk to go for it because it's 10 more casting value, and that's probably 3 more power dice. So it's a lot more risky. Is it a good signature spell? Yes. Are there some spells in here I would swap for it? Possibly, but it depends on how my army looks when I put it on the board. It's one of those that you can go back to if you need some more firepower, for example against undead and demons, but generally no. Spell 1 is Far's Protection. I think it's Far, there's a circumflex on the A. It's an augment spell with a range of 24 inches and a casting value of 6+, so it's quite easy to get off. All attacks against the target unit, shooting or melee, are at -1 to hit until the start of the caster's next magic phase. Shooting attacks that do not use ballistic skill, i.e. cannons or other similar things, must roll 4+ on a d6 before firing. All the shot or shots are lost. The wizard can choose to have this spell affect all friendly units within 12 inches. If you do, casting value goes up to 12+. This is actually a really nice spell. I mean, -1 to hit is nothing special, but it's very useful nonetheless. Particularly if you're supplementing this with wizards who can apply bonuses to your force. Or you've got some of the Law of Light that can do that. So it will also cancel out War Machine attacks half the time, so that's very useful. And you can have it affect all friendly units. Because it's only 12+, if you can boost, I would say. Spell 2, this is one of those that I don't use a lot. It's the Speed of Light. And the Speed of Light is an augment, range 24. Target is weapon skill and initiative 10 until the start of the caster's next magic phase. So you're getting really good at hitting stuff. You're very, very hard to hit back, probably being hit on 6s, it may be 5s. Can you hit on 6s in fantasy? You can't hit on 6s in 40k, so I just need to check that. And the chart has disappeared from my site. That's irritating. Okay, can't find it. It'll be somewhere in this book. And I think it'll be hitting on 6s. It may even be not hitting at all. An initiative 10, you'll obviously be going first and hitting on 3s. at worst. You can instead have all friendly units in 12 inches targeted. If you do, casting value 16. Boost. This spell is a brilliant boost. If you're about to crash into melee or you've just launched a series of charges, casting this on all units around you, being now WS Initiative 10, you've cracked that battle line pretty much, apart from when it's really resilient stuff. Spell 3, Light of Battle. 9+ casting value. Augment 12-inch range. If the target unit is fleeing, then it automatically rallies. So it just turns around, faces up. If it's got a musician, it can make a swift reform. Additionally, the target will pass all leadership tests, regardless of modifiers, until the start of the caster's next magic phase. This is a lovely little trick. So suddenly you just make a unit completely fearless. Terror test, break test, psychology test, fear test, you name it, it's immune. Which means it's got a good chance of being able to fight, and if it gets hammered, it will still hold. It's a good way to make a tar pit, or a killing machine into a more logical killing machine. You can instead have all friendly units within 12 inches if you do casting value 18+. I don't think you really need to boost this unless you've got a massed battle line where you think you might get hammered. I.e., if a Warriors of Chaos battle line has just crashed into you, this is the only time you probably need to boost. Although, if you can combine this with a boosted speed of light, yes, you're probably using your entire power dice spot, but you'll get off 2 very good spells. Net of Amintok, power 4. This is similar to Fulminating Flame Cage from the Lore of Fire. I don't know if it's better, it's just slightly different. It's a 10+, 24-inch range hex. The target unit must pass a strength test every time it moves, including charging, fleeing, pursuing, compulsory moves, etc., or regular moves. So that's actually very good at compulsory move units, things like squig hoppers, or which there are units that have compulsory moves. These are the things that they have to do. This includes fleeing, but there are units that have to move in a certain way. I'll just have a look at what compulsory moves actually means, because most moves are, well, not compulsory. You've got fleeing units, and they're generally described in their relevant army book entries. And that's it, really. So this is good if you've got a unit that you're going to charge, you can lock it, and then if you win the combat and they break and they go to flee, they're going to have to face a strength test before they can move, meaning you've automatically run them down. If the test is passed, the target acts normally. If the test is failed, this is an extra little perk. The unit is unable to perform the desired action, it cannot move, and it takes D6 strength 4 hits from the net's barbs of light, which is caused 2d6 against undead demons. It also says the unit cannot shoot or cast spells without passing the strength test. So this is a great lockdown on magical units or archer units, as well as beatstick melee units. You can choose to extend the range to 48 inches if you do 13+. This is a great little spell. There's a lot of good spells in the Lore of Light if you know how to use them. Like, do you know when to boost? Do you know when to hold? Do you know when to go for it? Do you know when to not? And then it's about how you apply them in the game. So, for example, picking which unit to target. But I'll sum up at the end. Spell 5 is the power spell. This is the one that will do the most outright damage. It's called Banishment. It also has a 10+ casting value. It's a magic missile with a range of 24 inches. The target takes 2d6 hits, 3d6 if undead or demon. The strength of the hit is equal to 4 plus the number of wizards that know spells from the Lore of Light within 12 inches of the caster, not counting the caster. So you probably need 2 light wizards within 12 inches of each other to pull this spell off, because that makes it strength 5, 3 strength 6, 4 strength 7. Although strength 4 isn't bad on its own. The very useful thing is that successful ward saves taken against banishment must be re-rolled. So if you're shooting at demons, their 5+ ward save, which I think they all have, they're going to have to re-roll it, which is very, very useful, actually. The wizard can choose to extend the range to 48 inches. If he does, casting value 13+. I don't see generally most reasons why you don't need to boost, because most units are running at you. Of course, if it's a gun line, you'll be running at them, or if it's just 2 gun lines, then yeah, boost. Spell 6 is by Rona's Time Warp, and this is, I think, the only spell in the whole thing where the 6th spell is not a damage spell. It's an augment with a range of 12 inches, and it is seriously scary. The target's movement is doubled, so movement 4 becomes movement 8, basic. Its attacks increases by 1, and they gain always strikes first. So they'll be striking first in melee regardless of initiative, unless they've got great weapons or another always strikes last weapon, at which point they strike at normal initiative value instead of initiative 1. Plus, having double movement means you're marching at double the rate, so suddenly movement 7 cavalry are movement 14, they can move 28, or they have 14 plus their charge distance, and they've got +1 attack, and always strikes first. They're going to wreak havoc. So it's seriously a very powerful spell. And the boosted version targets all friendly units within 12 inches. If you do this though, the casting value doubles to 24 plus, making this the second hardest spell, I think, in the whole book to get off. If you go to boost, I don't think there's anything more powerful than that. Okay, there's 125, but that's it. This is the second hardest spell to get off if you go for the boosted version of Byrona's Time Warp. I thoroughly recommend if you can and you have enough power dice, you do it. Because seriously, having a whole battle line that's minimum movement 6 or movement 8 is scary as hell. So, in summary on the Law of Light. The Law attribute is situational, but it's very useful if you do come up against demons and undead armies such as vampires and Tomb Kings. The signature spell is okay if you need some more firepower, but it's not the best. Its best spells are obviously its defensive ones, i.e. Fast Protection, Light of Battle, and combined with either Speed of Light or Byrona's Time Warp can make a unit completely unstoppable. Net of Amintok is a very nice little hex because it can lock a unit down and stop it even shooting. That's what makes it better than Fulminating Flame Cage. Plus, Banishment will do a lot of damage, but you probably need more than one wizard with the Law of Light to pull it off. So that's the Law of Light. Next video in this series will be the Law of Life, my personal favourite. So expect me to be a tad biased on that one, I'm afraid. So thank you for watching. Be sure to leave any comments down below in the comment section, or head on over to Twitter and find me at Tactica Imperial and talk to me there. So thank you for watching. My name is Michael, and I will see you again.